Fat Profits Head of Portfolio Management, Rupert Nathan, joins me in the studio now. Well, so would you say that BP has turned the corner that Bob Dudley would have us believe with these earnings results?
Yes, we would agree, although arguably one could say that they turned the corner earlier.
So why isn't that being reflected in the share price? It's still trading some 33% below the level it was before the Gulf of Mexico oil spill.
I think there are a number of misconceptions, a number of concerns, a great many of which are unfounded, obviously still stemming from Macondo. Worries that this could be a bottomless pit of money that BP are having to delve into.
But there is still a cloud of uncertainty hanging over the company, isn't there? They've got the civil litigation suit that'll get underway in New Orleans in February, and if they're found to be grossly negligent, then it could run into the billions.
We would contend that it's highly unlikely. BP's own inquiry last year, as well as independent inquiries, have indicated that firstly, it was not grossly negligent, and secondly, it was a systemic failure, not just on BP's part, but also their partners, Halliburton and Transocean.
Do you think that they will be coming forward? Do you think that they are likely to accept any responsibility, as we saw with Anadarko Petroleum and their $4 billion settlement with BP?
I think ultimately that would have to be the end game. I think Halliburton in particular, their conduct has been disingenuous, dishonourable, but I think that there will be some form of economic, equitable solution.
Just hearing CEO Bob Dudley talking about increasing the company's cash flow by 50% by 2014. Do you think some of that money will make its way to shareholders in the form of increased dividends?
I think ultimately it will. It will have to shore up support for the share price. It's crazy when you're comparing BP with Royal Dutch Shell up, 7% over the past year, whereas the latter's increased, 17–18%.
And again, to go back to that point, it is quite remarkable when you look at BP's fundamentals, as you say, that financial conditions are improving, their assets are very good, and yet the stock is severely lacking some of its rivals.
Yep.
That must be very frustrating for investors.
Yes, it most certainly is, although we've said consistently way back in the dark days of Macondo, when a great many were suggesting if BP was going to go to the wall, that focus on the larger picture, the assets the company does have. I think that Dudley taking over control was, I think, the first of many positive steps. Yes, they've had some backward steps. I mean, the Rosneft fiasco earlier this year did not help sentiment. But I think realistically that what BP have gone through over the past 12–18 months has been a perfect storm, an absolute nightmare.
But Dudley's strategy, if you like, of teaming up with national oil companies, with tie-ups, as we saw with his pursuit of the tie-up with the Russian oil company Rosneft, which subsequently failed, I suppose that saga showed that it's going to be quite complex.
Yep.
So is that something that will also be weighing on investors' minds?
Well, I think that's acknowledging the reality, though. I heard earlier today that something like, is it 90% of new oil discoveries, production, will be actually NOCs. So the integrated companies are going to have to work with the NOCs.
So what does that potentially mean for perhaps not just BP but other oil and gas exploration companies going forward for these sorts of projects? Do you think that we will see potentially challenges when it comes to the supply front of things, that it is going to be complex getting the oil out of the ground, because you know, whether it's complex from a technical point of view, whether it's very expensive, that these are sort of obstacles that we're going to see other companies come up against as well?
Yeah, I think that's undeniable, but I think that where BP will have the strength is their experience, the expertise, the capital that they bring along to the party, that are going to put them in a very strong position. I mean, that was one of their main selling points.
Any specific areas they should focus on, do you think, geographically?
Difficult to say.
Yeah.